Goldylocks Productions broadcasts universal cosmic frequencies that unlock, awaken, and expand the consciousness of our worldwide viewers and listeners.
Goldylocks Productions presents the Inspiration from Spirit show with your host, Reverend Lea Chapin. The focus and goal for this show is to assist humanity in the awakening of a new level of consciousness that will bring peace to planet Earth.
Welcome to Inspiration from Spirit. I am so happy you're with us today. For those new listeners, if you're joining us, you're in for a special treat. For all those who've been with me before, you still will be in for a special treat. I have two special friends who I call my spiritual sons, who are such a delight, and we're going to have a fabulous show. So just stay with us for the whole hour. We are going to have a lot of laughs, a lot of giggles, and a lot of information to share today. So welcome to Inspiration from Spirit. We have today Jared Willis. He has spent the last 15 years advising and consulting clients on how to run their businesses and governments, on how to support their entrepreneurship. Now he co-owns several startup businesses, bringing the treasures of nature to the world. He also is very adept and skilled at playing the piano. He's quite good. Khaled, I always chop up his name. So Khaled, pronounce your name.
Khaled, but you can call me Khaled.
He is my special friend too, and he's an inquisitive, he's loving, he also is a entrepreneur with many talents. He has this fabulous memory. He knows everything, remembers everything, and loves adventure. We've had many adventures together. We're going to continue to have more adventures with both of these guys. So we're here to talk about how they have transitioned into a whole different country and have started up a new date coffee business, making coffee beverage out of dates and much more. Hey, welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us. It's nice to see you. And I know it's early. We want to wish you an early birthday. I know your birthday's coming up in a few days. So
thank you.
We might sing for you at some point in the show if we run out of things to say.
I know. I'm an official senior citizen. Oh, my God. I got my Medicare.
You don't look at all.
So it's nice to have some young guys hanging out with me. So, guys, tell us a little bit about yourselves. Well, I'm going to start with you, Cal. Just to share a little bit about, where you're from and how you met Jared and how you got to Oman.
All right. So I'm originally from Kuwait, and I grew up around the world with a family that was in aviation. So we hopped around from all these different countries to different countries. So English is my first language, and I was exposed to a lot of different cultures and a lot of different things. And I only moved back to Kuwait in 2007 for university. So after going through university and then working for a couple of years, going to grad school, coming back, I met Jared in 2015. And, we hit it off, we became friends, and then we started working together in 2016. He was in Kuwait scouting out, trying to set up a consulting firm, a branch of a consulting firm in the US in Kuwait. And we hit it off, and then he was trying to, I'm stealing your thunder here, Jared, but he was trying to build this grand vision of having a Kuwaiti workforce. So being a Kuwaiti, he's setting up an entity there. We went with it, and a couple of years later, we did the best we could, and now here we are in Oman.
And you survived all the changes. So, Mr. Jared, tell us a little bit about how you got to Kuwait.
Well, it's a long story. You don't have more, there's only an hour show, but very long story short, I've been working as a consultant, and I've always been involved with the Middle East since I was a teenager. And when I started my own consulting business in 2006, in 2010, I had a project in Kuwait, my first project, and spent some time on the ground there, and really felt attracted to the people and what was going on there, and met a lot of interesting people at the time. And it developed to the point where in 2014, 2015, I decided to move there, and I joined a company that wanted to open an office there. And actually, December 1st will have been 6 years since I officially moved to Kuwait.
and had been there full time since December 1st of 2015.
And so with the pandemic, somehow you found yourself now in Oman. So I know that through this past year, you've been doing, well, more than that, but you've been doing a lot of traveling. You're like world globe trotters, but somehow you found yourself in Oman. So tell us a little bit about how that transition, where you've transitioned yourself out of Kuwait into Oman, because of the pandemic, and really how that's changed your life now.
Well, I could say, for me, and Lee, you know this well. I mean, I think, Khaled and I made a decision almost 2 years ago that it was our work in Kuwait was finished. It felt finished. Doors had closed for us. We finished the work that we felt that we were there to do, and we enjoyed living there at the time and having it as a base, but we started looking for a lot of projects elsewhere. Anyway, push comes to shove. About a year ago, we decided even then it was time to leave Kuwait, both because of the circumstances in Kuwait, and we felt it was no longer the place that we should be spending our energy. And we had thought of Oman at the time, and we visited a year ago together to look at some business opportunities and what the real estate situation, what the environment was. And we said, oh, maybe at the end of next year we'll evaluate it. And we ended up getting stuck here in some ways by chance, but there's obviously nothing that's chance. We were in Boston for a project in the end of March, the beginning of March, and when Kuwait was the first country, I think, to close their airport, and we weren't able to go back to Kuwait. So we looked at the map and said, well, Oman is close to Kuwait, and we all thought at the time this would last. Yeah, exactly. We said this. It was somewhat intentional. We said this would last 2 or 3 weeks, and so we'll go there. We were going to go anyway in the end of March. That was the plan, to check it out and further advance our move. And so we said, okay, we'll go and we'll hang out for a bit and we'll check it out. And then Khaled, remember, we were lucky we found a ticket out right before Oman closed their airport as well, 2 days after we arrived. And when we arrived in the airport, I said to Khaled, I think we just moved to Oman and we're just going to go back to Kuwait to get our things. And that's actually what ended up happening.
And what's the blessings that have come out of this? I know that you've now started several businesses. So tell us a little bit about the blessings that have come from all of this for you.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, we were attracted to Oman, living in Kuwait. Kuwait is a very small, very urban city without nature. So just sort of by being in Oman, to be surrounded by mountains, to be surrounded by sea, by flowers, by plants, all of a sudden to be around all of this life and this very calm energy and this kindness emanating from its people has done wonders for both of us, just in our interactions with people and sort of our own interactions with ourselves.
It's been healing. I think that's the word. It's just been healing.
Yeah.
Because Kuwait was pretty tough. I mean, though I know you're a Kuwaiti and your family's there, but there's a bit of a tough culture there for you.
It is, and obviously, you as someone who's been raised abroad, and to sort of be an outsider in your home country, I've had that sort of dissonant relationship with Kuwait, and Jared as well. Having lived there, with the lack of nature, just sort of with the difficulty of living in a place that's always traffic choked, and the people not being the friendliest, and everything. It is taxing. So all of a sudden to build, to sort of find ourselves in a place that is kinder, that is more receptive, that is more healing, is the word. Done wonders for us personally. And
you forgot, we also got lucky that we had a 2-month hotel vacation when we arrived, which I'd never had in my life. This is an aside, but we come from a project. We were pretty stressed out because it was, and we arrived in Oman and looked for a place to stay, and we ended up staying in one of the nicest hotels. It was empty. There were no tourists. They all left, and they cut us a deal because they didn't want us to leave. So we ended up staying for 2 months and just having the whole hotel to ourselves. And that's pretty rejuvenating about itself.
Making friends with the staff, and ordering a gigantic breakfast, and just hanging out by the pool. It's
the vacation I never had. I mean, you're lucky if you get 2 days of vacation, let alone 2 months. So anyway, Sorry, I
So
cut you off.
I was just going to say a part of this that we've talked about in my Mary Magdalene calls is that this time of being in isolation or separation is really inspiring. So it's about turning within and discovering what we really want to do with ourselves. So that we've been forced in many ways to shift our lives, which is what happened to you guys. And so tell us about that inspiration about starting up your date beverage. How did that all come about? What inspired you to do this?
Well, and if you don't mind, Lea, I want to build off of what you just said, because obviously I'm a part of your calls every week, and so it's been a part of my arc and our arc. I think what prepared us to be here, and I think it's the rejuvenating, the looking within is sort of there was a process of it before the pandemic, and it sort of got completed with the pandemic, and it was really figuring out what we wanted, deciding that we didn't need to be in Kuwait. We felt obligated, I think, for a variety of reasons, each of us differently, felt obligated to stay there, obligated to try and fight the uphill battle. And the first sort of process of looking within, which was before the pandemic, was when we started some of our own businesses. Instead of trying to help other people and other people's businesses or other people's policy, we need to put our money where our mouth is. We put our energy into our own things and things that we're passionate about. So we started, we invested in some companies that produce and sell essential oils. And we started a clothing company, bringing natural clothing with only natural fibers and natural dyes from small producers, not big corporations. And it was both because these are things that we're passionate about and things that we believe in, and people and relationships that we believe in, and said, people need to be the change they wish to see and put their energy, where their mouth is and their money where their mouth is. So that was the beginning of the process, which is before the pandemic. And I think it led us, and we talk about it all the time, how one step, over years, one step led to the next. And when we were here over the summer, after our 2-month junket in the hotel, we decided, okay, it's time to settle down and find a place to stay. And a friend of ours was from Kuwait at the time, so we found this lovely villa that we're in right now, right next to the mountain. And we moved here in the end of May. And to be honest, we were bored. We were looking within, as you said. So, I mean, for me, that meant playing a lot of piano. That's something that I've been passionate about. And Khaled with, his reading and other, we were sort of following our interests. And one of them was seeing, since we're here in Oman, what we can do for our businesses. And it was 110, 15 degrees out, and the AC's on, and you can't go outside. And so we were a bit bored. So we started playing around with the seeds that are in dates. There's obviously a lot of dates in the Arabian Peninsula, and Oman has a lot of indigenous species of dates, and they're all over the place. And a friend of ours who distills essential oils here, which is part of the reason that we came to Oman, she had hinted to us, she said, there's oil in the date seeds, but nobody's getting it out. So we said, okay, we could get that out, that'd be unique, and we could sell it through our essential oil companies. So it's a long story, but we tried to test the date seeds for the oil content. Now, to test them, you need to turn them into a powder. So we had a very cheap spice grinder, and we put them in the spice grinder, and the spice grinder broke. So we said, how are we
It broke? Is that what you said?
Yeah, we broke this way. Those date seeds are very tough. So we said, how are we going to ground this into powder? So we're like, okay, let's roast it. If we roast it, then we can send it. It won't change the oil content. We'll roast it. So we started roasting it, and we had heard people said, "Oh, that it's like a poor man's coffee. People drink it as a drink here," but we didn't think it was serious. So we roasted it, and Khaled and I looked at each other. We said, "It smells like coffee and chocolate. It smells really good." So instead of grinding it up for the test, we ground it up and we made cowboy coffee. We didn't have any furniture or any kitchen stuff, so we just put it in a pot that we had borrowed from someone, and we boiled it a couple times, and we drank it. And we said, "This is really good." So and then we had a couple friends try it, and they said, "Forget the oil. You should just do this. This is a great idea." So we figured we'd experiment with it. So we produced a brand. Khaled is a talented graphic designer, so we came up with I'll show you our promotional Sir. We came up with this lovely palm tree, and the name is Nawa, which means date seed in Arabic. And we made a couple test batches, and we sent it out to some friends and family. And we said, well, if anyone wants to buy it, then we have a business. If everybody says thank you very much, and we don't hear from anyone, then we just move on. And we had knock on wood, we had a good response to that. So we said, let's go with it. So that's the long answer to your short question.
And you found through some testimonials of those who've drank the coffee that there's some benefits that people are sharing with you. Do you want to share what people are telling you, that how it's made them feel?
Well, I'll speak first of all about myself. We had come to sort of a natural problem. In Kuwait, I drank way too much coffee, and part of it is the Arab culture. And you go to people's houses, and in the evening, they're serving coffee and tea. And then I'd just go back to the hotel or to my house, and I'd be up at 4 a.m, and I didn't understand why I couldn't fall asleep. And you get addicted, and now with the coffee culture and all these different ways of brewing it, and these fancy roasts and fancy origin, single origin, it's like a culture, and you get sucked into it and think that you need to drink 3 cups a day, and that's normal. And then you wonder why your heart has palpitations, and you're nervous, and you're sweating too much, and you can't sleep, and you're hyperactive. I suffered from all those things over a period of time, and slowly started weaning myself from coffee, nothing to do with the date seeds. And then about a month before we discovered the date seeds, we went somewhere on sort of for a couple days, and we stayed in a hotel and had coffee. And I just said, we said, we're not drinking coffee anymore. We can't handle it. Our bodies cannot handle it. It's too much of a jolt. So I think the first thing is it's a good replacement for coffee, because it tastes pretty similar to coffee. It's a bit sweeter. It's not bitter. It's not acidic. It doesn't screw up your stomach. And what we started noticing, and a couple other people that we did, they said it's giving me a subtle energy boost. I said, okay, that's interesting. And we had it over a period of, like, we were trying it. We were having 5 cups a day, because we were trying different roasts and different grinds. And we're not making any health claims, but I can say for me that I came to Oman with a bunch of minor health issues, and soreness, and stiffness, and sort of lack of vitality. And between I don't want to ascribe it just to this, but between the rest and the relaxation and the lack of too much noise and stimulation and whatever you try, I think that it was a part of helping me to heal and helping me to recover. And we've since tested it in a local lab, and it is full of all sorts of trace minerals. We actually just sent it to another lab in the United States to do some more testing, which we should have back within the next few days. But it's very rich in minerals that people are missing, which is things like magnesium and zinc, and I think selenium, and some of the ones that are people use to treat endocrine disorders, depression. They find that people are missing certain trace minerals, and they put them on trace mineral supplements. So this is rich in a lot of those minerals, like way off the charts with magnesium, for example. So, again, we're not making any claims. We want to be clear about that. People should drink it because they like it, maybe because it doesn't have any caffeine, that it definitely does not have. But I think it's, we called the headline, or our tagline for it is a lighter drink for a lighter world. I just think, people are eating less meat, people are eating healthier, lighter foods. And I think the coffee that we're drinking is more caffeinated than before. It's much more rich, much more concentrated, kind of like marijuana. It's much stronger than it was in the 70s. So I think that it just doesn't match most people's diets, or people are moving away where coffee is going to be too heavy a substance for people. And this is, I think, a good alternative.
And what's been happening that we are seeing with people being homebound or working from home, again, we're talking about people having more inspiration and new ideas, and young entrepreneurs such as yourself, that there's just going to be, this is like a wave that's happening. I feel like you guys have come up with this inspiration, and then more and more people are, again, homebound included, and again, more and more people are coming up with these impassioned ideas of how to make a better place. I feel like this is really a part of the shift. And I know that you're a part of my Mary Magdalene call every Monday morning. And we talk again about the new earth rising, about moving into this new age of enlightenment. And so it's so exciting to see that this time period that you guys have become inspired and you're part of that wave. That's what I'm feeling. I'm feeling like you should be like on Shark Tank, back here in the US, need to be sponsored for, your innovative ideas and bringing forth a way to help people. Because if anybody's familiar with that show, these people are coming in with creative ideas of how to make things better for all of us in life. If it's in a sense of making our lives easier, physically or mentally or emotionally or just ergonomically, with providing something that, might make us be able to sit better. Like my chair needs to be a little bit more ergonomically suited for me. It's a little bit big for me. But anyhow, you guys, I'm just like so thrilled for you that you've used this time and it's really been productive, and that you're moving forward with also your essential oil business and your clothing business, that you're really helping people in a way that that's really pure from the heart. So I'm really happy for you guys.
Well, thank you. I think, the one message is, it's funny you mentioned that. I've talked to some people, we've been talking to some young people here and some of my cousins who are, maybe 10 or 20 years younger. And I think that if anything, the message is don't fall victim to what I did or what we did, which is this idea that you have to have your passion separate from what you do in the world. Mm-hmm. And I have a lot of, somebody that I talked to, and he said, I'm so passionate about agriculture and sustainable agriculture, but first I have to go into a hedge fund and I have to make all this money and I have to do this, and then eventually it will lead me to do this. And in some ways, that's a path that I followed. Now, I have always followed my intuition and followed my passion, which was, for the Middle East. But I think that what it led us back to is that, in some ways, a much simpler way of operating, which simply figure out what it is that you are passionate about, mm-hmm. develop, your understanding or develop some expertise in it, and then, see if it's something that other people are interested in. And that's really how we, that's really what this is about. That's what everything that we're, that we've started and what we're trying to bring out as a business is things, or people that that we're passionate about. And I think a lot of people also, they feel like, okay, I earn my money and then I'm going to invest it in all these stocks, or I'm going to buy oil futures, or I'm going to buy bonds, or I'm going to put the money in the bank and then the bank is going to do something with it. And, mm-hmm. you need to, money is energy, and you need to put it in the people and the places and things that you believe in, because it's a contradiction for you to preach one thing and then put the money in a different direction that is not, helping the world. So we believe that small businesses, mom and pop shops, where the money goes to the labor and the raw materials and not to a marketing budget and not to a big corporation or to investors. We believe that that's the way the world needs to get back to. And so that's what we're doing ourselves. And that's also the people that we're supporting and the projects that we're supporting as things that follow that.
I'm going to shift gears for a little bit, because back in 2017, we began our travels together. And it was June. I remember it was June of 2017. I was in Chicago area, and Anthony Bourdain died. He was the CNN host of, I believe it was called Parts Unknown. And because you and Cal have in some ways been, as they say, world travelers, and I know I'm going to let Cal speak about his love for travel, the idea that you should both continue your traveling, but be able to videotape it and to bring it forth for other people to see, the other parts of the world, because you both have such a love for travel. So Cal, I know you love adventure, you love travel, you've been all over the world. Tell us a little bit about, again, as you remember that coming into place for us to start those sacred journey sites.
Well, just to start and give a little bit of color, I mean, I mentioned earlier how I was, born to a family in aviation. So moving around, like between birth and now, Oman is my 12th country that I've lived in. So, you could say that travel sort of was programmed into my bones, from the very beginning. So meeting Jared, with his sort of, with his curiosity and his energy, there was a really nice synergy sort of with our, just with sort of our travel bugs, and off we went. So, we went around, part of it was an escape and a respite from Kuwait, and then slowly that evolved into, seeking out our own joint and individual interests. So as we discovered more and more of the world and more countries, sort of getting into the local crafts and the nature and things that come from each individual country, that's how we sort of shaped our own ideas. And obviously with you, all these, tapping into these energies and these sacred sites, there was this incredible overlap between the three of us, and that's how we started our journeys together.
And how many countries have you been in, Cal? I know you've been. How many?
73.
73. And you, Jared?
About 70, I think.
Oh, gotta catch up with them. Yeah. So that's why how many have I been in? What, 7? So I'm like way behind you guys.
I think we got you up to 11 now. You're in the double digits.
But
you've been
good. Times.
What'd you say?
You've been to Kuwait like 3 times.
Yeah, I've been to Kuwait 3 times. It's prettier in the dark. So I'll be happy to see Oman in the daylight. So I'm sure it's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
But I wanted to go back to that June 2017 when Jared and I both were stunned with the death of Anthony Bourdain. And I did really felt strongly about you guys being able to document that, your journeys and be able, because you both love to eat, you love to travel, you love adventure, you love nature. I thought how neat it would be to be able to share that with the world in terms of where you all have been and bring that forth. I know that, what is that man's name that writes the books, the travel books? Steve, is it Steve Jobs? What's his name? Steve something or other. Anyhow, he writes and brings I think he shares a book. I can't think of his last name. But anyhow, I was thinking that you guys need to either write a book or have a blog or a video of sharing all your work together. And somehow you said, hey, Lee, you need to be a part of this. So jump in there, Jared. And do you remember that conversation? I really remember. I was in Chicago.
I think maybe it was because we were planning to go to Ireland, and it was like halfway to Chicago, and we hadn't seen you in a long time, and I don't even remember if we had the idea for videotaping it until you even got there. But I just remember saying, well, why don't you just join us for a couple days, for 4 days, let's hang out. And then I think when we were there, we had the idea that and we didn't know much about Ireland and where to go, but you had some clients that were there, and you knew about some of the sacred sites there, and we just sort of went with it. I don't know. I mean, again, I don't think any of these trips, we never really had a plan. They just sort of
we just winged it.
Yeah, we just winged it, and people can see on YouTube. There's some great. I mean, maybe the filming and the microphones weren't so good. We got better with time, but the content and the scenery was beautiful, and some of those experiences in those sacred sites, and with Ian, your client who met up with us, it was really a great experience, and I think it ignited for us the idea that we need to do some more of these trips. The idea being, and it's the same with our businesses, is that travel can ignite people. It's a journey, but it's not a journey that people necessarily need to physically take. For us, the things that we bring to people from the natural world are supposed to ignite people to the fact that all these things are available in their backyard, and you actually don't have to run around the world for it. And I think that was what we came to with your visits, is that people can access these energies and these experiences, just by sitting at home and being on YouTube, or being in their living room, or just going in their backyard and finding the nature there. And that might seem like a trite message, but I guess in the COVID days, when travel is off the table for the foreseeable future, maybe there's something to it.
And Kat, did you want to share a thought?
I think Jared actually covered it pretty well. Just sort, like what we sought to bring, through our from our travels, like whether it was the essential oils or whether it was the fabrics that we brought back for our clothing businesses, we wanted to bring something that was emblematic and representative of our travels, something that told a story, and that's something that sort of represented, a fading beauty in the world, like whether it was something beautiful from nature or something beautiful that was crafted by people, that was, that spirit has really dictated, the kind of work that we individually and collectively are trying to bring forward.
Mm-hmm. And as you move forward with this, are you finding that that you're feeling more impassioned, with as time goes on? Are you getting more excited? I mean, are you feeling the energy of, okay, all these projects can really be made manifest? I know that there's some period of a time where you're starting out, can be a little bit slow, but how are you feeling? Are you feeling really, really excited about all this? I mean, I know your new country, your new home and new ideas, but where are you at in terms of your own emotional nature during this pandemic with everything?
Well, speaking personally here, I say this to Jared all the time, but when we're out, running errands and buying date seeds and we're washing them ourselves and we're doing everything, I keep telling him, that it's incredible to sort of be doing something and feeling really light and really happy about it, and then realizing that you're doing work,
Mm-hmm.
and there's no heaviness, there's no weight attached to it. Like all of a sudden you're doing something that feels very natural and very engaging. So personally, that's been really wonderful, and it's incredible to be, to feel just so light. So.
Yeah, I think that it was the process. The first thing we noticed, and this goes back to even Lee when we were doing our things, with the sacred site journeys, is that everybody we started meeting that was not for our profession was great. So we were meeting people for these essential, first of all, the people in your orbit, and then the people for our essential oil businesses. Like we'd meet these people on our travels and be like, these are great people. We want to work with these people, not the people that we're working with on our day job. We didn't feel a connection to them, and eventually we outgrew it entirely, where there was just no energy in our workplace and no energy for us in Kuwait. It just was dead, and I think because we changed to the point where, and being in Oman, I think what sealed the deal for us is people have been so helpful, and I think it's part of their nature here. It's a different energy and a different soul group, a different group of people here, but from the minute we arrived, men, women, old, young, locals, foreigners living here, they've been nothing but helpful, going out of their way to help us promote our business, to make sure that we feel settled, to make sure that our legal status is taken care of, to show appreciation that we're here and putting our energy into this country. And it's a validation that we're on the right path. And to be honest, there has not been any moment of anxiety. The anxiety I felt, I think, was how to make the transition, because it was not clear how we should quit our other jobs and actually, to move out of a country. It was not clear at this time last year how that was going to happen. And in some ways, the pandemic was, you could call it divinely orchestrated, but for us, and we keep saying that, it could not have been easier for us to make the move. If it hadn't happened the way that it did, it would have been very difficult for us to make the move at this point now. And it's been beneficial for us. And I mean, there's been minor inconveniences and frustrations, but overall, it has sort of catapulted us onto this path. And in terms of the business, I mean, we've been delighted with the response, and everyone has remarked how fast we got it out the door and got us operating even in COVID.
Yeah.
So I think hopefully it's a testament to the fact that we're on the right track. And also, and this is a good lesson for anyone, is keep your overhead low. Don't spend that much money, and then you don't have to worry about running out of money.
And also, you talked about this being divinely orchestrated, because I know we've shared about how for you to begin to transition, you had such worries in the consulting business, and you could, see the writing on the wall. And just knowing and trusting that you've been divinely orchestrated or divinely guided, that everything all fell in place. And for those who are struggling with, maybe they've lost their jobs or they're worried about losing their jobs or will their jobs come back, not to make necessarily light of it, but be able to trust in the universe that maybe there's another door opening for you. Maybe this is a time for you to be able to turn your head and look to see that there's another doorway for you instead of trying to hang on to the past. Oftentimes we don't like what we're doing, but we don't want to change because it's familiar. And so I know it was a struggle for you guys working in Kuwait, not feeling appreciated and rejection and not feeling supported. And so now, you have a whole new life of you're in control of, and people are supporting you and loving you. So again, if you could give some thoughts, or I don't want to say advice, to those who might be struggling in terms of allowing their lives to unfold, organically, or allowing the angels of the universe to support you. Any thoughts of that you'd like to share with others?
I would just say don't fight it. I mean, in some ways, but fighting it is natural. I mean, when I look at the time in Kuwait, and we talk about this a lot, it feels like a death process. Anyone that's had a relative that goes through like an illness, and there's all these stages of trying to fight it and trying every doctor and every solution to fix it and to make it work. And in your head, you just sort of you just sort of try and overcome it in any way possible. And that happened with Kuwait. We fought it for a long time, and you just find your head, well, I'll stay here for 10 years and we'll just be based here. You sort of try and but you see things for us slowly falling away. I mean, first the business fell away, and it was just the place we lived, and we were working outside of Kuwait. And then the environment started to deteriorate, and it became more difficult for our legal status, and the daily life became more difficult. And it was noisier, the traffic was worse. There was just all these signs, and you still sort of fight it.
Your friends were moving away?
Friends were moving away. But even when I look at it, the universe graced us with a wonderful last 4 months. The truth is, Kuwait was probably dead for us the summer before last, early 2019. It was dead even before that. But we came back after 2019 summer, and we had 4 months of really wonderful, like almost like a goodbye farewell tour. A lot of our friends were leaving, and we had some parties. We had a wonderful Thanksgiving. We had some wonderful events. Our friend Brittany, she was a talented jazz pianist, and she brought her band to Kuwait, and we took them around, and we went to Dubai, and they had shows, and there were parties, and we had 2 people come visit us, one for business, one was a personal friend from Chicago. I mean, it was like the best of for 4 months, and then it was over, and then it got ripped off like a Band-Aid. And I think it's confirmation that it's okay to let it go. Because it is scary to leave a salary. We were salaried, and when you have a salary and health insurance, there is security in that.
But it was causing you a lot of health issues too.
Well, I think that's for me, and that goes back 2 years, and I think even for that, we did a lot of work on that, Lee, and trying to understand the karmic reasons and the physical. And there's a point where you say, well, is this permanent, or can I just medicate my way through it, or exercise my way through it, or take whatever substances I need to get myself through it. And at the end of the day, you have to acknowledge that your body is politely telling you something, that you're not doing the right thing, and that you can try and mitigate it, which is what most people do when their bodies break down on them. But ultimately, the answer was to make a big change. And I can say that I feel better. And both the health issue and just, again, I attribute some of it to the date seed coffee, but I think it's really the holistic change. I mean, where we're at right now is surrounded by mountains. You don't hear anything. People don't realize how detrimental, and I didn't realize, just the normal sounds of humans, the car horns, the traffic, the ACs, the human. Yeah, the sirens are detrimental to your body and to your health. And when you're in a place that is in total silence, music is wonderful, but music is in some way an antidote, just like an aspirin is for a headache. And what we really need to be hearing is silence and the sounds of nature. And our spending now 7 months or 8 months in this villa, having a good night's sleep and not hearing things, not being jolted, has been, it's the combination of things that I think has brought me or us back to health. And given me, I was worried about having the energy, me, I'm full of energy, but worrying about, we have all these businesses and now we're starting this huge business and this huge endeavor. Do we have the energy for it? Do we have the motivation for it? We were burned out. And we're feeling pretty good now.
Yeah, that's why I was asking you about your passion or how you were feeling, because I know it's been a lot of changes and can be stressful, these life changes or life stressors. But you seem much calmer, much happier. I've known you now about 5.5 years. So I think Oman is good for you. And Cal, you've shifted too, in terms of being more laid back. So when I first met you, there was a lot of worry. So there's been a lot of progression that I've seen in you guys. And like I said, I'm really, really, really excited for your success and what you're doing. And I really feel that, you're a fabulous team that's going to make a real difference in the world, not just with this business, but just personally, affecting many people's lives. I know that you love people, you've touched many people's lives, they've touched yours, and that you're an inspiration to so many. So just keep up all you're doing, and hopefully, we all can travel again and we can, find some new adventures to be on. But I want to step back again to a little bit about that time when we went to Egypt and how powerful that trip was and that sacred journey. And Cal, I know you had an amazing experience in the Pyramid of Giza. Do you mind sharing that story or sharing with the listening audience about what it was like for you to actually be in the pyramid?
Absolutely. I mean, it's still something that I think about because of just how profound it was. And I was, obviously I was new to all of this, and I didn't know how exactly to interpret, certain feelings, whether they were physical or mental. So, working with you, talking to you, and just sort of being around you has really helped me understand those better. And when we first entered the Great Pyramid, I won't forget that. I won't forget. All of a sudden, I felt this incredible lightheadedness, like this rush of blood from my head, and just the top of my head, like from here upwards, just started tingling outwards. And as we ascended the pyramid into the King's Chamber, that feeling became very pronounced. And I'll let you get to the King's Chamber part, like after you had your moment there. But basically, the amount of energy that I had absorbed there, I remember after we came back, I was so fried by it that I just sort of lay there completely wiped out, just because of just whatever we got up there. And I still think about that buzzing and that energy and just that that fire that all of us I had absorbed. And yeah, that's how I can put it, I guess, simply.
Well, we started that journey, and I think it was October 2018, and we finished up everything that we were doing at the King's Chamber in Egypt. I think it was the beginning of 2018. That was a pivotal point of all the activation work that I was doing and calling the energy of bringing the divine union of Divine Mother, Divine Father energy through the Great Pyramid with the channeling that I did with Isis, the no names, and with Jeshua. And when I got in and started the channeling, I know all of you thought I was going to position you or place you in a certain place, and all of a sudden I just started channeling, and I could feel the reverberation coming into me, and it stopped me for a moment because I went into a trance, and I could feel this energy of my voice and the reverberation of the energy going into my body. And so I know we were all being downloaded and activated with this powerful frequency. And do you recall seeing the pictures of Marissa and Michelle, who was with us? And it was either their higher self or angels behind us in those photos.
Yeah. They stood at the sarcophagus, and even though they were right there, all of a sudden they had these sort of translucent forms that just were taller and larger than them, just right behind them in this dark room.
Yeah, it was really a powerful experience. So that was why it was so neat that you're able to physically feel the energy. And I know, Jared, it was difficult for you to climb up there because, I'm 5'1" and you're 6'11", so it was a difficult climb. But do you want to share what your experience was? Because I know when we got done, the moment we both were excited that we had completed what we were supposed to do. So do you mind sharing?
Well, I want to talk about I went there before we went. If you remember, I pre-scouted it, and I had been in Israel for work, and I don't even remember at the time if I had a reason to go to. I don't know why I went to Egypt, but I decided I think you were in the United States. You weren't with me, and I decided to go to Egypt, and then I decided to stay by the pyramids. I just felt I had been to Egypt many times, and I hadn't been inside the pyramid, and then I remember speaking to you over the phone, and all of a sudden you came out with all of these instructions about what I was doing inside and what the pyramid was for, and I thought, this is strange. And then I went in there, and I think you remember this. I had spent time in the pyramid by myself there, and then I went back to Kuwait. I was totally zapped out. I felt totally fried by it, and then I touched all my computer. Remember, all my electronics failed because I touched my computers, and they all short-circuited and had to be replaced. And,
I told you not to stay in there longer than 30 minutes.
And I did stay long.
Yeah.
And that's you. That's oops. Yeah.
Listen to your mother.
It was, so I think that in some ways for me in some ways it was good that I had that time, because when if you remember, when we came with the group, I felt responsible for making sure everybody got in and without interruption. And, we had tried to arrange to have it to ourselves for an hour, which was difficult. So I was glad that I had time by myself, because I was focused on that with us. But, when I was filming you, aside from all the weird orbs and the images behind Marissa and Michelle, there was just a very powerful energy. And, I think it says in the Bible, when more than one are gathered in my name, I'm there. And, when there's a group like that, and I think there were 6 of us, that were all aligned in sort of our purposes for being there and our support of your mission. And it was a very powerful time. And I'll never forget you when we came out and we went back to the hotel and had some food, and you were giddy like you had just gotten married or something. You were so thrilled, and you had so much energy, like you had just been put your hand in the socket or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember sitting at that buffet, and I was the only one there who was completely fried, and you were eating, and you were perky,
and laughing,
and you were great.
I was high on life. I was high on the pyramid. Yeah, I remember you took my hand, Jared, and you don't normally do that, but you took my hand and we walked hand in hand, like we completed what we came to do. We didn't really fully understand what had happened, but we knew we had done what we'd come to do. And what's so neat about it is people have watched the videos on my YouTube channel and actually feel the activation. So that was really our intention. That was our intention, again, going back to that time of June 2017, when we wanted to emulate like Anthony Bourdain in his travels, but we wanted to do it with spiritual secret journeys. And so I know that that was so special when you took my hand. We were walking back to the hotel together. I don't know if you remember that, but it was like, yep, we did it. We don't know what we did, but we did it. We're all, and again, like Cal said, we was all happy, but it's like we never really fully understand. But I knew it. Whatever we'd done, we had done it. And that was the end of our journey. And then the next day we were leaving, which was interesting. Melania Trump came. I thought, isn't that fascinating? So her energy somehow needed to be in part of this activation, which I thought was interesting. Still never did get confirmation about that, but I don't think that was a coincidence.
No, there's no coincidences. And I think about, that trip a lot. And actually just this weekend, one of our friends here, who's an older British lady who's lived here for 30 years, and we took her to the hot spring that I told you about. That's about a 10-minute walk, or 45-minute walk, 10-minute drive from where we're staying. And she remarked to us when we came back, she said, I really think it's important that people like us live in communities where everybody is friendly and everybody collaborates, and it's sort of an open door, and people share food and people share their lives. And live behind walls. And I remember when we first got here to Oman, you had told me that it was a group of reincarnated Essenes that we were connected to here in Oman. I remember on those trips, you channeled the Essenes, and we were in the Dead Sea. and also in India when we were in Kerala area,
Mm-hmm.
which is also historically, I mean, it's in some other channel material, and I think it's been established that some of the Essenes went to that part of India, and that's when they first brought the message of Yeshua to that area. And you were in India in around New Year's and Christmas of 2019, I think, after that summer.
2018, beginning of 2019.
Yeah, 2019. Then you channeled that. The Essenes had been to India and to that part of India where we were and had implanted their energy. And recently in your Mary Magdalene calls, you've been talking about how people are remembering their affiliation with the Essenes, and how it's important that as things get crazier, or it's the storm before the calm, people need to remember what it was to live in those communities and go back to that type of living. And we've thought about that in terms of the people that we're connected with and the way that we support each other. And we're starting to feel it here in Oman with some of the people that are here. And obviously we have it virtually with, your Monday group and the people that are watching this YouTube. And in some ways the pandemic, because of it's made people, maybe you're not seeing the people physically that are next to you, but virtually through Zoom and staying in touch over communications, people are finding their communities, and I think it's only going to strengthen. But I strongly remember the some of the words that, and those videos are available on YouTube too, from the Dead Sea, where you channeled these scenes, and they're sort of reasserting themselves and trying to get people to remind them what that community was like, and sort of use that as a model as we try and, because it doesn't, I think people are feeling that this modern way of living disconnected is not right. This way of people taking advantage of each other in the public sphere, whether it's at the store or calling in and having a computer talk, all of this is not natural. This is not how we're supposed to live. And we can take the way the Essenes lived and the way they supported each other as a model, and that's something that you channeled a lot about, and something that we started to think about on those trips.
And there's several of us that want to live in a spiritual community that feel called to do that as a part of the Essene community. But there's a lot of us that are feeling isolated or lonely, or, like you said, separate, and really wanting to call in our tribe and our family. And so I trust that we all will be able to come together. But that's in the hearts of many that I know, and including yourself. So I'm glad that you're able to find your tribe or those in your community there that are supporting you, because that's so important. And you're right, it's not really natural for us. And even in the day when families still took care of their elderly parents, and the families came together and helped to raise the children. So I trust that we will return back to that, because we're in this new time and this new energy. And I think that is a part of what we did when we went to Egypt, was just calling in this energy of balance again, so our civilization can return to balance, in our personal lives, in our family lives, with our health, in our communities, within our government. So that energy, I know, went through that Great Pyramid, and the power of that pyramid as a transmitter to help awaken so many people. And again, that was over 2 years ago that we were there, and we've seen so much shift now in this year of 2020, which some people say, oh, the planet soon to be over, but all of this has been in purpose and good, even if we don't understand it, and it's shifting how we live. And you guys are an example of the blessings of what this has brought forth to you. For me, it's been an opportunity to teach, to go within, and to be able to bring my teachings forward. And this podcast is just one example of the blessings that COVID has brought me through Tiffany, which I never thought I would meet or even know. She's up in Connecticut, and I was sitting in Florida. Did not know Tiffany and about this podcast or about her radio or her production company. So many blessings are coming forth. So we just have a few minutes left. I want to know if there's anything that you, Cal, would like to share or leave as an offering to those who are listening, who might want to start up a business and or have dreams and passions that they feel led to do at this time.
Well, for me personally, as someone who is endlessly curious and who has, sort of dabbled and is still in pursuit of their ultimate, of their ultimate dream, don't like truly, Jared said this earlier, just go with it. And, to pursue, just allow yourself the freedom to pursue your interests. And, even if the road winds a little bit, it's really important to follow that creative journey and that realization, because it can really open up so much to you that you didn't, it opens up opportunities for you to realize that you're good at things that you didn't know you were good at, or, to iron out things that you thought you wanted to do that you shouldn't. So it's really important to just follow that journey, even if it might seem counterintuitive.
Just like the Nike slogan, just do it.
Just do it.
What about you, Jared? Thanks, Cal. What about you, Jared?
I remember somebody said to me once, said, just be like a shark and just keep moving. If you stop moving, you die. So, I mean, it's the same thing as you just try not, and we've talked about this a lot and you've been really helpful. It's just to not be attached to an outcome, do what seems right in the moment and do what your intuition says. But if it doesn't work out, or if it takes a twist and turn that you didn't expect, my life is not at all how I planned it, but I could say that everything that I thought I wanted, that I got frustrated about or that didn't happen, what happened was actually better and I could never have imagined it. So I think a lot of people get hung up and they're of course afraid to fail or afraid to, I remember when I got divorced, and that's how I met you, Lea, when you helped me to work through that. And I remember my best friend at the time said, well, aren't you afraid what people are going to say? And I thought, well, no. Who wants to live their life worrying about what other people think? Because that's a terrible way to live. And I'm suffering inside my house. Nobody's there to help fix that and make me feel better about that. Or they say, looks like you look great on paper, but that doesn't help me when I'm suffering at home. So I think people, ultimately you need to. Everyone, you can get guidance from a lot of people, but you have to act on it yourself. And don't, we talk about this all the time. Some of the things that we've done didn't work out, or they're not working out, or they go sideways, you could say. But it led us in the right direction. So there's really we have no regrets, even all of our travels, everything and this and that. And, it all led us to where we're at now. And so you can't second guess. And life is full of, not every relationship goes the distance. Some people are in your life for 30 seconds, sometimes for a day, sometimes for, you don't know, but just, and that's what you say is just, you have to be in the present moment and you have to enjoy the present moment. You never know when it's going to end, and just take it as it comes. And one thing builds on the next. So, we're still learning. We still have lots of challenges. We still have lots of things that we need to learn. But for once, it feels like we're not fighting a losing battle.
Mm-hmm. And I know that the guidance that Spirit had given you, that you resisted, was to leave Kuwait, and that your job was going to end. And I know that we talked about that many, many times, and that, Cal, that you were supposed to have another citizenship, or that it was for you to leave that area too. And so I'm just so happy that the universe has orchestrated all this, because watching you and working with both of you and helping you to move through some of those challenges that you had when you worked with BRG was really stressful for both of you. So I'm glad to see you relax. I'm glad to see you happy. I'm glad to see that your inspirations are percolating. You're going to get more ideas. You guys got to be on Shark Tank. I'm like, you guys got to go on Shark Tank. If you want to.
Only if they're with us, right?
Yeah, if I'm there with you. Oh, yeah, right. So yeah, let's go ahead and give, we just got just a minute left. Let's go ahead and have Tiffany give and shout out to your website for people to purchase your products.
Oh, we have a coupon code for your listeners. It's Holidays 2020. And if you put that code on checkout, you buy 4, get 1 free. I think that's right. What it is. And we ship anywhere in the world. We can ship it to you if people want to give it as Christmas gifts, or we can ship directly to other people here from Oman. And we just want to know what people think of it, and we hope that people like it. It's Oman's gift to the world. It's a local tradition. It's a lovely. It really is a lovely drink. We drink it multiple times a day, and we don't get sick of it. We know you're a tea drinker, Lee, but we'll convert you eventually.
Yes, you'll convert me when I come. I'll get converted. So, all right, guys, it's so good to see you. I haven't seen you since July of 2019. That's crazy. In Chicago. Wow.
We're waiting for you to come over
There's
here.
a bedroom upstairs.
What's that?
There's a bedroom upstairs waiting for you.
Oh, I got my bed. Yeah, cool.
There's good seafood here. You like seafood?
I know.
Exactly.
We got some more fun to do. Got more fun to have. So anyhow, you guys have a blessed day. Thanks for being on. It's such a joy to be with you and spend the hour with you. As always, I love you, and I'm so happy for you, so delighted. And just be happy and keep on keeping on, guys. So anyhow, our time's up. Farewell to all those that are out there in listener land. These are my two favorite guys. I love them dearly. So thanks, guys.
Thank you, Lee. Love you.
All right, love you too.
Happy Thanksgiving.
All right, thanks. Bye-bye. So that's Mr. Jared Willis and Khaled Bamarami. They are my dear, dear, dear friends. I love them dearly. So thank you for being with us today, and we will see you next week. And happy Thanksgiving to all of you. So go in peace. Have a great day.
Become a Goldylocks Productions VIP patron. Receive exclusive access to live stream special and other epic perks. Join the Goldylocks Productions VIP community today.